Hello and thank you for joining us today for the 2021 Godolphin Flying Start Conference. The theme of the conference is Ideas for the 3-year-old Graded Stakes Programme in the US. My name is Clodagh Kavanagh and I am the Executive Director of Godolphin Flying Start. The first year trainees have been tasked with researching the 3-year-old Graded Stakes Programme and coming up with ideas for it. I'm delighted to welcome you today to Doncha, Solène and David, who are going to present and share their ideas with you, the readers of the TDN, in a 15-minute roundtable discussion. So now I'd like to hand over to the trainees. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you, Clodagh. Hello everyone, my name is David Skelly. I'm from Limerick in Ireland and my main interests are breeding and racing.
Hi, I'm Solène Hulbert. I'm from Chantilly in France and I would like to become a racehorse trainer.
Hi, my name is Donnacha McCarthy. I'm from Kerry in Ireland and my main interests are bloodstock and stallions.
So unfortunately this year we haven't been able to make it over to America for our USA phase due to COVID-19 restrictions. We've been very lucky to have the TDN there as a resource to keep us informed on all things racing and breeding in America. So it's been great for all three of us along the way. And on that note, we'll kick off and start talking about our topic today, which, as Clodagh mentioned, is the 3-year-old Fillies stake schedule in America. So guys, I suppose when we think of the stake schedule in America, the first thing that really stands out during the season is the Triple Tiara. But it's probably something that there is scope for progression within and maybe sort of reshaping the stake schedule, whether it be around the Triple Tiara or maybe something more towards the end of the season. What do you think? Maybe we could get some sort of system involved where maybe we have a race towards the end of the season, or maybe include the entire stake schedule around the Triple Tiara?
Yeah, I think the first issue of the Triple Tiara is it has been changing so much. It never became a tradition. It never became really institutionalized like the male Triple Crown has been.
Yeah, a big issue with the Triple Tiara as well is it's the New York Triple Tiara. It's mainly based in New York. It doesn't incorporate other racing jurisdictions throughout the US. So if we could create a format that includes the whole United States, I think that might work better.
Yeah, sounds good. So what do you suggest? So say we're looking at the stake schedule overall here now. So if we want to incorporate each corner of America with something like the Triple Tiara, maybe we could look at like an end of season target, maybe whether it be a series of races or one race in particular, maybe something along the lines of that, which includes the entire stake schedule, which, as you mentioned, goes the whole way across America.
Yeah, maybe we could incorporate a new race at the end of the season, maybe in October, and that could be the aim for every 3-year-old fillies. Let's say running between 8 and 10 furlongs, because it seems to be a bit like the very prestigious distance for 3-year-old in America. And we could use the whole graded stake calendar to help to qualify for this race.
Yeah, you could create a league table where all the graded stakes, grade 3s, grade 2s and grade 1s all carry a certain amount of points, and create a qualifying system for this race. You also could have a certain amount of races that you'd have win and you're in, so that you'd be exempt from the league table, and it'd be a focus then for all the fillies and a real momentum builder. What do you think?
And then, like, so say, are we saying maybe it'll be an end of season target, sort of like the stake schedule will be centered around it, and then towards the end of the season, maybe September, October, maybe have one particular race?
Yeah, maybe. I think we have to think about the Breeders' Cup happening in November. Definitely. The Breeders' Cup distaff could actually be like the very end of the season race, because that would give the possibility to the 3-year-old filly to meet their elders.
Yep.
So maybe we could think about like the Queen Elizabeth Challenge Cup weekend in Kinland, and at least it would be a bit of a center of everything and gather horses from whole America there.
So sort of around the middle of October, maybe around the Keeneland meet anyway, during the autumn meet. Yeah, that sounds good.
And as you were saying, the win and you're in races, we could have think about taking the Grade 1 races, but again will be mainly in New York. So I think what would be better would be to take graded stake all over the countries, maybe once a month to keep it running all the year. So we could start, for example, with the Fairground Oaks in March, and then the Santa Anita Oaks in April, keep the Kentucky Oaks in end of April, start of May, because it's still like the richest Grade 1 race for 3-year-old fillies. The coaching club American Oaks in July, and to have a race in New York, and end with the Cotillion Stake in Parks end of September. That would like close our league.
And how would you create a race then that would have buy-in from all the trainers, all the owners, all the jockeys? What do we need to have this race to make it special?
It has to be the biggest purse, I'd say, like the best way to make it a real target for everybody. As we know, the Kentucky Oaks is the richest race with 1.25 million, so I think we should aim for a purse of like 2 million.
So with a race like this, okay, we're talking about a $2 million purse the weekend of the Queen Elizabeth Challenge Cup at Keeneland. So are we going to give this race a name and sort of a distance? So you mentioned the Breeders' Cup Distaff, which is over 9 furlongs, so that would probably be the logical distance to have it over. And then I really like the concept of the Triple Tiara, and I think I love the name, even sort of the crowning of the champion 3-year-old filly. So maybe if we could keep that name, is there something that we could mess around with maybe?
I suppose if it's on the same day as the Queen Elizabeth, you could call it maybe the Royal Tiara or something along that. And I suppose you could have a complete build up to it. You could get a complete momentum builder and name the road to it, or like the trip to it, like.
Yeah, the road to royalty.
Just that
like,
really rolls off the tongue.
So okay, we're gonna have the road to royalty throughout the season, which is going to include the stake schedule, and then it's all going to lead up to the Royal Tiara Stakes at Keeneland.
Yeah, sounds good.
$2 million race, though.
Yes, that's interesting. But how do we get $2 million for a race?
I suppose you could use a format that's already in place, something similar to the Breeders' Cup. Nominate horses from an early age. So last year in America, it's 19,000 foals, 9,500 fillies. If you had 5,000 fillies nominated at $100, you've $500,000 there straight away. And then if you had more supplements for fillies that haven't been entered, that could be going well through their 2-year-old career, and have that maybe 1,000 or so, you wouldn't be long building up a significant purse for the race. And then that in my opinion would be a good base ground, and it would give longevity to the race as well. That mightn't work straight away, it would be more of a long-term system. So
yeah, so more so in the immediate future, you mentioned having different nomination stages. So say if we wanted to launch our race for next year, maybe something incorporating the 2-year-old fillies now, how could they qualify for the race, or do you think it should be more of a long-term prospect?
You can have both. You can start, I suppose, next year and get the 2-year-olds to enter by, let's say, October, November, and fillies that haven't entered, that start winning points, you have a significantly larger supplementary fee, and that's before nominations or before declarations. So that's just one section of money you could create. I'm sure there's other ways to create money.
I think we can think about sponsorship, especially we want to make it a big event and having all the road to royalty, so we could really build something with sponsorship all the way. Yeah,
even for a race like that alone, you could get 10-12% of the purse would be standard enough for a sponsorship name, which sponsor would get the title for just a race alone. But if you do incorporate the whole road to royalty, you could get anything from a car company to anything to get involved with this whole idea or the whole system of the concept of going towards this big race and the road to royalty.
Absolutely, and if those stakes races that are going to contribute to the Royal Tiara Stakes, like if that leaderboard is updated on a weekly basis or after a stakes race, it's going to be on television. That's going to be exposure throughout the entire season if there is a sponsorship attached with the leaderboard. So I definitely, like you said, I think we can look for more than 10 to 12%. And then, I suppose the last revenue stream would be through betting handle, which hopefully will make up a substantial part of it as well. Yeah,
with such a big race on such a big day in Keeneland, you would get a significant betting handle from that race. So I think achieving the $2 million, it's not impossible. It's definitely achievable. And by having the nominations, it adds longevity to the race. You don't want a once-off race. You want this, as we said, the Royal Tiara, the Triple Tiara. The problem was the fact it wasn't established. We want this race to become established and to have longevity. So
definitely,
I think that's a good system in place anyway.
So as we are talking about something becoming a big event in America, should we as well think about involve the public?
Definitely, yeah. Like I think if we take a step back from horse racing and we look at other sports, like how do they gain such a broad fan base? Like look at fantasy football in America, like the amount of competitors that they have there and people that get involved on a weekly basis, updating their teams. Like there's definitely scope to do something like that if we're going to create a leaderboard system where we could incorporate the points from that. Like I just know from personal experience, playing those fantasy leagues, a lot of the players' valuations will fluctuate. So we could do something along the lines of that, of maybe the Fillies value is fluctuating based on their likelihood to turn up in the race. So say we had like sort of a virtual stable almost, and at the start of the season everyone buys in for $10, picks 2 horses to be in their stable, and then as the season goes on their horses' valuations could fluctuate, and then the more likely the horse is to turn up in the race, the higher it costs. And people at a later stage could maybe buy in, but they'll actually have to pay the price of the horse. So maybe something like that could be incorporated.
And at the end, then, would you have a financial incentive, or what would be the plan at the end, like for the people getting involved, for public?
You know, a financial incentive is brilliant to get people involved straight away. Say there was like we said $25,000 to the winner. It's a great way to get people's attention. But from my experience with these fantasy leagues, a lot of the time it's getting your mates together in a group of 10 and you all having your own virtual stables, and creates a bit of camaraderie and a bit of fun between everyone. So something like that will definitely be a drawing point. But like you said, having a financial bonus there as well is quite important. So maybe if by the end of the season, whichever filly goes on and wins the Royal Tiara Stakes, whichever virtual owners had that in their stable, one lucky owner maybe wins $25,000. But then in the build up to the race, maybe we could have a system where all the horses who are going to compete in the race, the owners get to pick a trifecta, assuming that their horse is the first one home, and then maybe they pick the second and third, and some of those owners will then get a financial bonus if their trifecta comes up, something like that maybe.
I think it's good to use the betting system and also the financial incentive to attract people, but should we think also about the experience? I know people love to feel involved with the horses, have a say, like for example with this race in Australia, the All-Star Mile. It's a Group 1 race and people can vote on who's going to run in the race. So obviously that's not the aim of our race, but should we find an idea like that?
Yeah, definitely, Selene. Like I think if you looked at that race, I've no doubt that all the people that voted for that race, no doubt that every single one of them watched it, and they probably voted the horse that they chose home, and it sort of just adds something different. So you're definitely right, we could come up with something. And if we're going to get everyone in one place, like through say our software, which will have to be set up for our fantasy league, whether it be on their desktop or on their mobile, if we have everyone in the one place, then we could definitely incorporate something like that. I mean, if you look at in years gone by, the Kentucky Derby, one thing they used to do was on the night of the draw even, all connections would be there and their horse's name would be drawn out of a hat, and then connections could go up on stage and they could actually select which post their horse is going to break from based on which stalls are left. So if we did something like that, if we had maybe one live stream for all of our virtual owners or players to watch through, and then once their horse's name is pulled out of a hat, similar to what we've seen on Zoom, how there's sort of a poll system and you can make a vote. So say hypothetically within 30 seconds those owners will have the decision on which gate they want to break from, and then say maybe on the night connections could be there, they'll have a big screen in front of them and it'll show what way the poll ended up, and you'd hope that the owners and the virtual owners' opinions would be aligned, and then maybe they could say if it's stall 9 or whatever it is, they go up on stage, pick stall 9, and it just adds something, sort of a new approach to it, and I've no doubt that it would get people really involved and feel like they're part of the process.
It's very important for us to get new people involved in racing, and with such a small buy-in, or even including your friends, it's bringing a brand new cohort into racing, which is very important for the longevity of racing and to keep this system going.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you look at how successful microshares have been in America in recent years with the likes of My Racehorse, like even if we could just give a fraction of that experience, even I know they're called microshares, but say a micro experience, like sort of elite content or whatever it might be, everyone that's playing our game gets that, and it's another buy-in as well. So I think there's definitely scope for something through that. Okay,
and in regards to this race, is there anyone who would be putting out by involved in this race? In my head, this is all very positive. There's an awful lot of stakeholders who will benefit from this race, whether it be all the tracks where the graded stakes are run. The breeders who nominate their fillies will have added value at the sales ring because they're nominated for all these graded stakes races and a big pool of money. Trainers and owners, they're going to be going for this $2 million race. Jockeys will want to be involved. It's all fairly positive. And even with the New York Triple TR, that can still stay in place, but we're just having a more focused idea at the end of the season, which incorporates the entire country, all the fillies, everything involved. There's, in my head, it's very beneficial.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to promote the whole graded stakes calendar as well.
Definitely, I'd fully agree. Like, it's not just centered around our race. Our race is there, it's brilliant, $2 million, but it's also, the main aim is to promote the entire schedule, which is just good for the industry overall. So we've come up with this race. Our three main sort of ideas are, we've spoken about the race and how it benefits the stakes schedule. Then we've spoken about how we've put in place a sustainable prize fund model going forward. And then we've also come up with a creative idea to get the public involved, and hopefully it'll help grow the stakes schedule, but I'm sure it could help grow the sport as well by having such an engaging concept there.
Definitely, I think it's not a bad idea anyway from the three of us.
So on that note, I think we'll wrap up and just say thank you very much to everyone for watching. It was great fun for the three of us to come up with the ideas, and if anyone had any thoughts or ideas of their own, we'd be delighted to hear. And so thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.